We're live. Okay. To call the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners organizational meeting to order. I'm Denise McGuire, the county clerk, and because we do not have a chairman elected this year so far, I have to take a role until we elect a chairman to start the proceedings of the meeting. First off, I want to mention that this is also being broadcast on Zoom. So if we have anybody participating through live stream and they would like to participate through Zoom, the meeting ID number is 977-119-6006. If you want to dial in to participate under public comments, the phone number to call is 1-312-626-6799. And you are asked to enter a meeting ID number, and that would be 977-6119-6006. Okay, the prayer will be given by Commissioner Wyatt, and the pledge will be led by Commissioner Heberlin.
Lord God, we are here today to carry out the duties of governance for Sanilac County. We have a fresh slate and a clean board to work with. We're thankful for the opportunity to do so. We ask for your guidance here for this meeting and for the state and for the nation as we go forward in this year, 2021, advocating not only for our citizens, but on behalf of you and your son. We thank you for that opportunity.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'll do a roll call. You have to bear with me, 2 years I've called out the same name, so if I do that wrong. District 1, Commissioner John Block.
Here.
District 2, Commissioner Bill Sartella.
District 3.
Oh my goodness, yes, you're right. Oh my, I really had this wrong.
But I'm here.
But you're here.
Yeah.
All right. And Commissioner Roger Ballard.
Here.
Commissioner Joel Wyatt.
Here.
And Commissioner Gary Huberman.
Here.
Okay, the first order of business is the adoption of the County Board of Commissioners bylaws, which is NFA 00121. And usually we review the meeting schedule because that will be incorporated in the bylaws. We have had the meetings on the first and the third Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. Any discussion on that, or what your thoughts are on the meeting schedule?
Denise, if I could, I would like to make a motion and then we'll have a second and then discussion. And if there's any changes need to be made, we can do that. So I would like to make a motion to accept the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners bylaws and rules, including the schedule that we have before us that continues from last year, first Tuesday, second Tuesday. And so I'd like to make that motion at this time.
I'll support.
Still at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, yes. If I can just add to that, the bylaws that are part of this promise.
Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded for NFA 00121 to adopt the bylaws and to insert the meeting schedule as the first and the third Tuesday at 1 o'clock. All in favor signify with yes.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah. So as a matter of discussion, it's come up a couple times, at least in the last 2 years, about the opportunity for people like say they'd like to participate and then after a typical workout, there's a difficulty for someone working 9 to 5. And that makes sense. Now, we brought this up before, I believe it was discussed before that was tried and we didn't get a whole lot of folks showing up. And I don't doubt that that's true. I'm not sure whether these remote meetings, and if we move into the future, the opportunity to incorporate a hybrid meeting, I would like to see us keeping the remote function available for the public while making it mandatory to operate by the Open Meetings Act with the board members being present. If that was the case, it might be advantageous for us to consider doing after-hours meetings. And what difficulties could we have if we wanted to have a meeting, say, at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock? Because there's a lot of ancillary staff involved.
Right. And we have done that. We've done that 3 different boards that I've been involved in. When there seems to be a topic of excitement, I should say, in the county, there seems to draw people. The last time we did traveling, we actually went to each commissioner's district. Most of them, it was the people that unlocked the building was the only one that's attended. Department heads, if they have to speak, then they have to come that night. I mean, that's just to give you a little pass on it.
Do you think if we were to incorporate a hybrid model whereby we could still have a Zoom meeting function for the public, might that entice them to participate at a greater measure maybe?
I mean, like I said, the only time we ever see participation at these meetings is if there's a hot topic in front of you. I mean, we just don't get the people just coming in and observing.
Commissioner White, I have a couple things that I want to say in regards to your questions. They're legitimate questions. One of the things that I heard back then, and of course, none of us were commissioners back then. I had the night meetings, but a lot of us commissioners have township meetings and city meetings on our monthly meetings, and that does interfere with that if we have them at night. And the other thing is you brought up remotely. I would, if we're going to make a change to get more input from constituents from our district, I would personally like to stay during the day meetings if they can remotely come in. I think, Denise, I'll ask you, maybe Tara, especially you, Denise, you've been here longer than most of us. If we have the meetings at night, then do we have to have other elected officials that are asked to come to the meeting, or do we have to pay them to come to the meetings?
No, sad to say, us elected officials don't get any overtime.
Okay, all right. I just wondered if that was
No. And none of your appointed department heads, they're all salary positions.
Okay. Yeah. That's all I had, Commissioner.
Well, in regards to that possibility of hybrid, is that something that sounds like a good addition? Because to the best of my knowledge, it's not been done elsewhere. So what we've gone through for the last 9 months has kind of brought that out. And I have to admit, meeting remotely has its advantages, particularly if you are a constituent or someone that's, a distance away. I would like to see us keeping this feature as we go forward, irrespective of whether or not it's a requirement on the part of the state. So that's what I got.
Well, as of now, it's required until April 1st because the legislators on the 22nd passed a Senate bill that we have to provide meetings remotely.
Correct.
For the public to interact. So we have to do that now till April 1st.
So now that that practice has been established, would it be that difficult to continue keeping it moving forward as its use, even if the state says we no longer have to do that requirement?
I think it's quite easy, actually. It is convenient for those that have to participate to have that option. I think it's been working out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And with what Denise referred to with when there's a hot topic, if you were to go back and look over the last couple of years and watch the number of views that were occurring on the meetings when they were live, looking at the feed that way, whenever there was a hot topic, then the view numbers certainly went way up. from whatever normal amount where folks are watching to all of a sudden here's a big, so I think you're still going to get the participation. Having meetings in the evenings can be difficult in the sense that we have to try to be elsewhere. Plus, if you look at the daytime meeting, we have a lot of other board meetings, committee meetings that wrap around the time frame that we're meeting at 1 o'clock.
I would agree with the assessment of the evening meetings, and it makes sense because, yeah, the municipalities that we serve do have their meetings in the evening. I have one tonight, so that would be a problem. But if we did have this hybrid model, for example, in the daytime at the normal 1 o'clock meetings, it might offer an opportunity for people who otherwise couldn't break away from their job to participate in some measure if it was something of their interest. The only difference is if we were to incorporate that into our meetings, which we could actually do that under the bylaws, but it doesn't exclude those individuals from being able to participate in person. It's not like we can require them, like you said, a hot topic. Oh, we anticipate a lot of people, so we're not going to have it open. It absolutely has to be open, but that as an option would certainly decrease the amount of bodies in the building.
I have no further questions or comments.
There's a motion been made and seconded. Further discussion? If not, all in favor signify yes.
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 Any opposed with no? Okay, motion carried. Okay, the next order of business is the bylaws on 4.11 requires the board first to decide on the method that you choose to elect a chairperson today. It allows two opportunities, either by a voice majority vote or by a written secret ballot. And the reason why they have this is the only time the board is ever awarded the privilege of voting a secret ballot. You'll find that throughout the year, anytime that you have to do a ballot, it's required to be signed. So I would request a motion on method. Would like to proceed in electing your chairperson today.
I make a motion that we do it by secret ballot, only for the purpose of exercising our right in that capacity.
Okay, do I have a second for that?
Support.
All right. All right, so motion's been made and seconded on the floor to elect the Board of Commissioner Chairman by a secret ballot. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify with yes.
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 Okay, all opposed with no. Okay, motion carried. Okay, so now I would open up nominations for chairman.
Nominate Gary Heberling for chairman of the Board of Commissioners 2021 session.
Is there a second?
Support. I'll support. Not too secret when I nominate.
Well, I guess I should close nominations and all those signify by saying yes.
Yes.
And any opposed by no? Okay, motion carried. All right, so we just have to. And they do not have to be signed. Congratulations, Gary.
Thank you.
Elect you chairman and
Thank you, everyone.
I'll turn the gavel over to you. And Steve wants a picture, Gary.
Get it back? Okay. Oh, I got
He asked for a picture when I handed it to you.
Can you
You
stand up?
receive it or
Mr. Chairman, can you stand up?
Yeah.
Do this.
show my belly?
Look straight on.
I'm gonna take a couple of them,
Okay.
couple of views.
Oh, yeah.
Very something to pick from. Thank you.
Congratulations, Gary.
Thank you. Thank you, each. of you. I'll do my best to work with every one of you and our department heads and our elected officials. Thank you again. Okay, moving on in our agenda today. The next thing on our agenda is to election of a vice chairman for the Board of Commissioners. At this time, I will entertain nominations for a vice chair.
I move that we nominate Commissioner Wyatt for the vice chairman position.
Move to close nominations.
Okay, do we have to do this by secret? Okay, so. Okay, okay.
There's only one in nomination. I mean, you can, but.
Then does someone here on the Board of Commissioners and make a motion nomination be closed, Denise, so we can do that or not? Yeah, I'm gonna move the nominations be closed. Support. All in favor that nominations be closed?
Aye.
Yes. All opposed, the same. Okay, going back to, I don't know, once we do that, do we have to take a vote, Denise, then? Actually take a vote,
Well,
yes or no?
usually then.
Okay.
there's just-
Okay, there's been a nomination on the floor to nominate Commissioner Joel Wyatt as vice chair of the Board of Commissioners. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Congratulations, Commissioner Wyatt. Next on the agenda is the county commission chair appoints a committee chairperson, and that's the Finance Administration Committee. I've talked to a couple commissioners prior to this meeting, and the decision I've come up with, both were good appointees. I'm going to appoint John Block as our chairperson of Finance and Administration for 2021.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, number 9, addition, corrections, deletion to the agenda. Is there any changes, corrections that need to be made to the agenda at this time? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda for today's BOC meeting on agenda number 10.
I'll make a motion to approve it as a.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Roger Ballard to adopt today's agenda, support by Bill Sekala. Any further discussion on today's agenda?
Discussion.
Yes.
We have a resolution to do, and I can't see it in this paperwork on the agenda where number does that fall into?
Page 5, number 19.
Page 5? I see it in there, but I just need to.
Yeah.
Page 5. Oh, there it is, general resolution. Thank you. That is a long agenda.
Yeah, it is. All right, so there's been a motion and a second. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion passed. Agenda stands as written today. Next is corrections to minutes. And is there any corrections need to be made to the minutes from approval minutes for December 15th? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our December 15, 2020 meeting. And Commissioner Wyatt made that. I will second that because I think there were the only two was in that meeting in December 15. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Okay, correspondence, petitions, and introductions. Do we have any today? Okay. Seeing none, next on our agenda is commissioner reports. This time, Commissioner Wyatt, I'll start with you and go around the room.
Well, let's see,
Clockwise.
nothing over the Christmas holiday really has happened. I will say that I've got a couple of requests from Worth Township about, actually several from constituents wondering when we're gonna get them recycling bins back in. That is being addressed. I spoke with Joanne over at Recycling. They have plans for getting the bins distributed, and it's worth noting that while Sanilac County has a millage, right? So every property owner pays into the recycling millage. The bins themselves are purchased out of that millage, but the distribution, or rather the transfer of them to go from the point where they're sitting at, for in this case, Worth Township, and to go to the recycling center and then go back again. That's a cost that an agreement is made with Waste Management many, many years ago for in-kind services. And it equates to roughly 50 transfers, whereby Waste Management takes an empty recycling bin to Worth and takes the other one back to the recycling center. They do the same in Port Sanilac. They did it in Deckerville, and they're doing it in Marlette this year. And the way the director, Joanne, has figured this out is, based on the population served. Worth Township has a pretty decent population density, even without the summer traffic. So there's one in Worth Township, there's one in Marlette, but it's come to the attention that a lot of folks feel like that's Worth's recycling bin, and it's not. It's the entire community of Sanilac County. If Croswell residents want to drop off recycling at that bin, they're free to do so. So Marlette has a recycling bin and they are going to be allotted roughly 12 transfers.
Mm-hmm.
The Worth Township bin, it'll be allotted roughly 20 transfers. And then the other bins will make up the balance of the remaining. And one of the things that Joanne said was that Marlette said, hey, if we need more, we'll pay X amount of dollars to have that transferred. But the problem with that is Marlette shouldn't have to foot that bill, because it isn't Marlette's recycling bin per se. It's all of Sanilac County's. And I fear that if we got into the situation where a community such as Marlette or Worth Township says, yeah, we'll pay extra to have that transfer happen because we've ran out of our allotted transfers, it might become a proprietary issue whereby they might want to exclude residents outside of the city of Marlette or the township of Worth. And we definitely don't want that to happen. So I just wanted to bring this up to the commissioners so they're aware. So if they get questions like that, like, why are people dropping off stuff in our bin? It's not really your bin. That's just the location. It's a benefit to you because it's easier on your citizens, but it's not your bin per se. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to understand, you're saying someone from Port Yorn could be driving through Worth Township, drop off their.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And there's really no way of stopping it.
But but in that case, it would be correct for us if we had a way to identify to say this is for Sanilac County residents.
Mm-hmm.
The idea being that anyone from Worth Township can say to someone from Fremont, Speaker, Lexington, whatever, hey, you can't drop stuff off here. This is Worth Township's bin. Because it's located there, they get the sense that it is. And if they indeed, the township itself pays $200 to have that dumped, it's a benefit mostly for the residents. But then we would have to be cautious to make sure they recognize that you can't stop Croswell people from dumping off in it. And it came to my attention because Joanne said that the city of Marlette was interested in doing that, because if they burn through 12 bins in a year, they might like to have the benefit of having another bin there, and there's a cost attached to it, right? And so they said, yeah, we'll pay for that cost, just as long as we all recognize that, it isn't your bin to not allow people to throw stuff in or not, right? It's all a Sanilac County
Right,
taxpayer.
right.
Those bins in Marlette are actually township. The city has curbside recycle.
So Marlette owns the bins in Marlette.
City does not. Those are placed there at the township, not city.
Okay,
They're out at the township hall, out at the
Okay.
airport.
is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
And didn't Dale Wood just get one place?
I believe so. I couldn't swear to that, but I think I
I
heard
know that was
someone's
So is that what she's referencing when she says Marlette's?
township. Township, not
Okay.
city. We have
Okay.
curbside pickup.
Okay,
We pay for that
okay.
with our garbage.
Now, if that's Marlette's Township's bins and they own them.
No, I'm not saying they own them. That's where they're located.
Oh, that's just where they're located. Okay, so
No,
that makes
They don't own
sense.
them.
Yeah, then
No.
that's probably what she was referring to.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
that it, Commissioner?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Commissioner Ballard?
Yeah, I attended via Zoom from my living room, the Marlette City Council meeting last night. And they've got a lot of things in the works there. They've restructured a lot of committees. They've got some really good people. They're working on a grant right now for inventorying city water lead-ins to homes to see if there are indeed leaded ones. What else are they working on? They're redoing some ordinances, working on a marijuana ordinance, which will probably be their hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. They hope to have some of those in place probably by the end of summer. And I think that was about it.
Commissioner Zarkella?
I'm just figuring out when all the individual communities are meeting via Zoom and how to get organized to attend those via Zoom
Mm-hmm.
once they all have their information up and updated.
I have nothing at this time. Mr. Black?
I've only been commissioner for 5 days, so I don't have a lot to report yet.
Yeah, okay.
Look forward to the next meeting.
Well, most of us start tonight, right? In our township
Yep.
meetings and
Aye.
city meetings, yeah. Okay, thank you very much, each of you commissioners. I don't believe we have administrators report at this time, so I'll move on to, is that correct, Chair?
That's correct.
Okay. I'll move on to number 16 on our agenda, public comments. Again, we're going to follow the guidelines we've followed in the past. Anyone that has a public comment, you have 3 minutes, and it must pertain to our agenda today. Seeing none, I'll move on to interviews. And at this time, we're going to have interviews for the Drug Task Force Board. And Jeff Gillick sent us a letter. It's in our packet. Also, John Maxey. And is anyone out in the hallway, Denise? We need to bring them in here.
We do have, looks like Jeff is on Zoom.
Pardon me?
Jeff is on.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Good afternoon. As you can see from my resume, I believe that I have the educational background to be selected for the committee. I'm also,
Okay. Yeah, I've read through, this is Commissioner Heberling. I read through your letter and thanks for sending that in, Jeff. And I don't know if everybody's got to take a look at it, but thank you for submitting that. And it gives your background, what you've done, where you're at, and what you're doing currently. Thank you very much. Any questions for Jeff? His letter is found on page 33 of our packet today.
Yeah, Jeff, are you looking to fill out which of the positions? Two, one elected or one nominated, I guess, and one that would be appointed. Am I massacring that thing?
Yeah, that,
There's 2 positions. One's a 2-year term and then one is a partial.
Partial, yeah, that's, so is there a preference that you're running for or that you're asking to be appointed to?
I would prefer the 2-year term.
The full 2-year?
Yeah.
Thank you. Full 2.
any other questions for Jeff? Jeff, thank you so much, and thank you for submitting your letter. Next individual vying for this drug task force, and there's two positions, is John Maxey. John serves currently on the drug task force board now. And because of illness, he could not make the meeting. But he has served on the DTF for a couple of years now, and I've been part of that board. And he also has a letter in here, John Maxey. So it's going to be hard to ask him questions when he's going to be here. So his letter's in there.
Now,
Jeff,
John,
go ahead.
can I say something? John currently is serving or ending a 2-year term.
Yes, he is.
So,
Yeah.
The other prospective member would be serving the remainder of a term, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I read it.
It's fair to say that both will be appointed. One's going to get a full 2-year term. One's going to be finishing out a partial.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
And you'll see that as we get down to where we vote on it. Yep. Okay.
So we're basically interviewing, we need to open up nominations for the 2-year.
Well, no, this is just the interview. We will get to the nominations.
That's what it-
Yeah. Is that what you, okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you again, Jeff. We're going to move on to Parks and Recreation Committee candidates, and we have Bob Conley, we have Chris Lopez, and we have Nancy Rich. And Mr. Conley is in our presence today, and Bob, if you would like to get up and speak and give us a little background. I think most of us know who you are, what you've been doing, at least for the last 2 years. Yeah.
Well, you know all of that. Okay, first of all, I thank you for the opportunity to be considered for the Parks and Recreation Committee. And you have the sheet that I sent in, and so I'm not gonna go through all of that. But I was appointed to the Parks and Recreation Committee for 4 years. And while working as Huron in Lexington for 30 years, I was state licensed to operate 3 lagoons. And that would help in the parks and as far as the questions. And as far as Flint Township Supervisor for 10 years and clerk for 24 years, I wrote several grants. We got playground equipment, Sanilac County Conservation District for DNR, wildlife habitat and restoration. And this next one, John Fraser, who also writes grants for the parks. He wrote the initial work to get the okay for Flint Township to proceed for the DNR trust fund. And I wrote the grant for 524 acres for a nature center. And that was valued at $1.2 million. And it took 2 years to complete. And if any of you ever work with the state, then you'll see why them 2 years took in there. Because they came out to the park and they walked around, and this property was, at the beginning, it was, what do you call that, where they mow the lawn? Sod farm. And then they sold it to Hypernex. And Hypernex had a building out there where they took care of their equipment, things like that. They come out, inside the building where they changed a little spot on the floor. And they wanted all the land around there. They tested to make sure everything was okay and things like that. And that took a long time. And they kept coming after me. What do you got? How can you prove that? And this and that and everything. And I said, oh, wait a minute. It was a sod farm. Then Hypernex took out 2 foot of dirt,
Topsoil.
took that out. And I said, so if there was any contamination, it'd be gone. And a couple of weeks later, they agreed with me. So that helped a lot. And so you gotta kind of play the tune that they are going for. And then we built a new senior center, and I wrote the grant for that one. And We use it for board meetings, elections, and seniors meet every month. And the thing for that, we originally applied for the township, we needed a new office or a new building because we had just an old one-room schoolhouse. And they said, no, it doesn't, you can't do that. It has to be for seniors. And so I said, well, can we just make it seniors and then we use it? And that's what we do. And so with that, and I had, like I said, I had about 34 years of service in the township. Anybody got any questions?
Any commissioner, I keep wanting to call you commissioner, sorry. Been sitting here a long time.
Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Conley? Okay,
Thanks.
seeing none, thank you so much, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Next is Mr. Chris Kopaz from the Marla area. Is he going to be attending? Does anybody know? Do you know, Roger?
I have no
Chairman,
idea.
Pardon me?
Like, so Chris sent an email.
Yes, I seen that.
12:30. Did you all get a chance?
I didn't see that. I seen the one he has.
So on behalf of Chris not being able to do so, let me read this real quick with it, please, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, I greatly apologize. I usually have plenty of time this time of year. Yesterday, I've been slammed at work with clients wanting to purchase RVs. I currently have clients at my desk purchasing the trailer they need to take today. And unfortunately, as much as this allows me to put food on the table, I will not be able to attend the interview at 1. I would love to have an opportunity to meet with you at a different time. I am doing so for the city of, or what does it say? City council. I thank you for your time and consideration. I hope you can understand Chris Kopaz.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And on page 37 of our packet today was a letter from Chris and explained who he is and how he got moved back to the Sanilac County area, and he's into RVs and camping. Is Nancy Rich going to join us by
She's
way
on-
of Zoom?
Yeah, she's on Zoom.
Okay, I think at this time we'll hear from Nancy.
Well, she is on, but she's muted. So.
Hello,
Oh, here she is. Okay.
Hey, Nancy.
hi. Basically,
Nancy, go ahead. You have the floor.
basically, I just wanted to apply for the Parks and Committee because our family does camp a lot in Sanilac County. And I've heard of a lot of information from other campers in Sanilac County at the campsite. And with this opening, I felt that this would be an opportunity to participate and have a say in some of the changes that possibly, could come about, and, be conscious of the Parks and Recs budget. So that's basically why I'm applying.
Any questions for Nancy? Okay, thank you very much, Nancy. Okay, next on our agenda, number 17, appointments to standing committees. County Commissioner appoints the boards, commissions, and committees. So I think at this time, this is when we, this,
No, that's not till.
no. Are we going right into appeals board? Okay, sorry. So appeals board for construction, appointed as listed. We have Jeremy Bender, Orrin Campbell, Norm Blank Jr., Thomas Orton, Jeremy Ford. And I believe we need a motion for each of these, correct? So at this time, I'll entertain a motion for the appeals board for construction with the names listed below: Jeremy Bender, Orrin Campbell, Norm Blank Jr., Tom Orton, and Jerome Ford.
So moved.
Support.
There's been a motion and a support to adopt these people for the Appeals Board of Construction. It's a two-year term expiring 12/31/22. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Spent a little bit of time, Chairman, asking Jody some questions about this, and after I had pestered her for quite some time, it became clear that, you know, on a board that's not a public board necessarily, there is no formal invitation, or what would be the word, advertisement, right? But a public board requires an advertisement of some type. I forget the specifications, and I do believe for the most part, that's always been done. So my question is, you know, have we ever thought, is there a desire for other people to get on these boards, and how do they do so? I don't, on a public board, like I said, you know, you've got an advertisement that explains, you know, what's available, what's open, but I don't see that with a lot of these boards. Some of them are appointed by the director, for example, of a department or whatnot. Like, for example, the LEPC Committee, Emergency Management Department, you know, this isn't people running for that position. It's appointed or nominated, as it were, by the emergency manager. How does one get on a board like that if they wanted to do so? Have you guys ever considered that? Or?
I don't have the answer for that. And like you said, a lot of times we'll put it in a newspaper or whatever people want to be interested, or in this case, send letters in. I'm not sure exactly how this board and a couple other ones.
The reason why I say that is because here we are, right? We're officially appointing these people to it. And
you're wondering how they got to that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, is it possible that people themselves don't realize that they could perhaps approach us and say, hey, I'd like to get on that board? And then we would be in a predicament of, well, I'm not sure how to do that. Just as a food for thought, we might want to investigate and look how, you know, that can happen for other people other than, you know, I don't even know. I mean, the soil erosion, who chooses these four names?
And I don't have the answer, Commissioner Wyatt. And here's what I'm assuming, and I could be assuming all wrong. They know these boards are in effect in our county, and I would assume, and I'm assuming, that they contact either our HR person, Jody, or Tara. And I guess I can't answer, but as I don't have the answer, and I'm not sure any of us know, I will dig into it and find out if we have an answer.
I thought it was worth mentioning because after all, we are essentially, you know, for what it's worth, appointing, which would include deliberating on it. And this is another, well, this might be an example of something that we really don't know what we're doing. I would like to know what we're doing in regards to this in the future. So maybe we could.
And quite frankly, you're going into your second term. I'm going into my third term. That's the first time this question's been.
But we have been busy those first 2 and 3 terms.
Sure.
If I could say, it would be involvement with the department official
Yeah.
as far as appointing these individuals.
Yeah.
So that would be a conversation too to have to the department officials who will oversee these boards.
Okay.
Okay, there's been a motion on the floor. There's been a support. All in favor of nominating these 5 individuals for the Appeals Board of Construction, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Moving on to Appeals Board for Soil and Erosion. Appointments are listed below. This is a 2-year term. Again, this is expiring on 12/31/22. The individuals applying for us to vote on today is John BOC, Robert Pertello, Rob Falls, and Rick Ball.
I'll make a motion to appoint all as listed.
Okay, been a motion by Commissioner Ballard. And support by Commissioner Sarkella. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Robert Bowski, Robert Vitello, Rob Falls, and Rick Ball will serve on the Appeals Board of Soil Erosion. Next on our agenda is Central Dispatch. Appoint all listed below. At this time, there's Paul Rich, our county sheriff, Lieutenant Brian McComb, state police, Brenda Sanford, county prosecutor, Mike Patterson, township government representative, Stephen Bales, Croswell Fire Chief, Leah Lentz, Emergency Medical Care Service, Bob Willis, Police Chief of Association, Don Cubitt, 911 Director, Todd Hillman, Emergency Management, and Sherry Cribben, Citizens at Large. I'll entertain a motion to approve the names listed below.
So move.
Okay, that's good. That's
I'll support.
okay. Motion by Commissioner Sakala, support by Commissioner Block. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next is the Drug Task Force Board. We heard from two individuals. We heard from one individual and seen a letter from both, Jeff Gillick and John Maxey. So at this time in front of us, we have ballots to vote. And Denise, I'm going to ask you, so the one with the most votes will take the 2-year full term?
That's how we did it last year when we had the same situation on a different board.
Okay, so we just vote with one
Because when
ballot.
they applied, there wasn't any designation of which
Okay.
position they were applying for.
Yeah.
So that's what you guys did last year,
Okay,
is you vote on one and whoever for the full term or whichever one you.
whichever gets the most gets the full term, and the other one that fills the position.
Would it be possible for us to, instead of doing it that way, to actually just indicate full or partial term on the ballot? The only reason I bring that up is I would hate for someone to feel like they're just getting the scraps because they weren't selected. That's certainly not the case. They're both viable candidates. There's two positions. It's just a matter of, I don't know if that would work out procedurally because I've never.
Well, it just states on the ballot, this is for a 2-year term.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so I think that we'll just have to go that route.
Yep.
So may I ask a question? In regards to the appointed, because it's filling a partial term, it would not be required, let's just say that was the only one to fill. It wouldn't be required for us to even have a vote on an individual. You just
It's
take-
because you have, right.
Yeah.
Because you need to designate which one is the 2-year and which one is the partial.
So at this time, go ahead and fill your ballots out. Denise, you're gonna,
Well, first you need to have a motion and place them both in.
oh, I'm sorry. I'll entertain a motion to place both on the ballots, Jeff Gillick and John Maxey.
So moved.
Support.
Okay. Motion and support. Motion by Commissioner Wyatt, support by Commissioner Block, to put Jeff Gillick, John Maxey, on the ballot. To vote. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed.
I recall, Denise, when we're nominating and things like that, you got to close nominations. Is that what the chairman does? The chairman just closes, you don't need a motion to do so?
Well, a lot of times we just do it when we put both names in nomination and close nominations.
I recall Dan made that a point last year about like, no, the chairman just closes. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the long formal process is also, you can take a roll call to close nominations because then it awards all the
Okay.
board members to add additional names into
Right.
nomination if they want.
Yeah, that's why I asked earlier in the meeting if we had to close nominations, we were voting for vice president.
Do you recall Dan bringing that up? I forget what we were doing. I thought it was in that context. It was closing nominations for something. I remember he said.
That'd have been,
You make a motion, it takes one commissioner to move and place the names in nomination.
Mhm.
You don't need a second on that. Then the second part is then you do a motion made and seconded to close nominations because then it awards any board member to add extra.
so we do have to make
people.
that motion to close nominations.
And then and close nominations should have. a
Or we
roll call.
could nominate a person in the same motion, say we
And close.
close nominations. Okay.
Okay, so we have 4 votes for John Maxey.
So John Maxey will serve a 2-year full term, and Jeff Gillick will fill a partial 2-year term, correct? Okay, moving on to the next one, next on our agenda is appoint a 1-year term to the Police Chief Association representative. And as far as I know, and according to our agenda, Brett Lester is the only one that has applied for this job to be considered for this job. So I will entertain a motion to elect Brett Lester as Police Chief Association representative.
So moved. Support.
Motion by Wyatt and support by Commissioner Ballard. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Congratulations, Chief Brett Lester, for Police Chief Association representative. Next on our agenda is Information Technology Planning Committee. And the appointment is all listed below. It's a 1-year term. It expires on 12/31/21. And the names of the candidates that wish to be on this committee are Dawn Cubitt, and I'll let you read the rest of the right there, what they represent. Tracy Franzel, Denise McGuire, Wendy Willing, Lieutenant Nate Smith, Nancy Rich, and Tara Griffith.
Move to appoint all listed.
Okay, been a motion by Commissioner Wyatt to appoint the people listed below to the Technology Planning Committee. And was there support by Commissioner Roger Ballard? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Dawn Cubitt, Tracy Franzel, Denise McGuire, Wendy Willing, Lieutenant Nathan Smith, Nancy Rich, and Tara Griffith will serve on this committee that expires on 12/31/21. Moving on, the LEPC Committee Emergency Management Department. Again, listed below is Mr. Todd Hillman, Paul Rich, Steve Bales, Wayne Zander, Lyle Raymer, Justin Holsworth, Donald Rickett III, Tracy Huff, Mark Schweitzer, Ernie Kilgus, John Darling, Keith Radecki, and Don Cordy, Zach Kramer, Dan Bush, Brian Moran Sr., and Trevor Stone. And again, that's a 1-year term, expires on 12/31. I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Okay, a motion by
Support.
Commissioner Sakala, support by Commissioner Black.
Yep.
Okay, and you were simultaneously, so I'm toss up, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, the same. Motion passed. These individuals will serve on this committee for the next term ending and expiring 12/31/21.
I would be under the impression that those are the fire chiefs from around the county. Would that be accurate?
I'm thinking that's it. Other than Paul Rich, it's probably not a.
Oh, yeah, true.
Probably
Yeah.
not. No.
And law enforcement.
Yeah. Next on our agenda today is Parks and Recreation Committee members, and we had Mr. Conley send in a letter, Mr. Copaz sent in a letter, and Nancy Rich, we had her on Zoom. We've interviewed those 3. So at this time, in front of us, we have the ballots. I'll entertain a motion to adopt these 3 people to run for the Park and Recreation Committee.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Then a motion by Commissioner Block and support by Commissioner Sarkella.
Roger. Pardon me? Ballard.
That was me that supported.
Oh, you support, I'm sorry. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Okay.
We have 4 votes for Bob Conley and 1 for Chris Comas.
What was the last one?
And 1 for Chris Comas.
Okay. Congratulations, Bob. And he's serving on the Parks and Recreation Board for our county. Thank you so much. Next is the, and by the way, it expires 4/8/23. You probably already know that. Next on our agenda is a Safe Partnership Millage Board. We have an appointment for a 4-year term, which ends on 12/31/24. We have one candidate that for the position, Ann Bazat, and she did send a letter in for us to review. Found on page 39. I'll just read it very quickly. Joe, to understand my seat on the board expires in December. I would like to be reappointed to the millage board for the next term. Please consider my request as you do so. So I would entertain a motion to appoint Ann Bazat to a 4-year term to the Safe Partnership Millage Board.
I'll make the motion to appoint Ann Bazat to the
Okay.
Safe Partnership Board.
Motion by Commissioner Block, support by
Support.
Commissioner Sarkella. Any further discussion, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Congratulations, Ann Bazat. Next on our agenda is Soil Erosion and Sediment Control Program Coordination Committee. On that committee of candidates are Joe Allen, Construction and Land Use, Maureen Kirkpatrick, Construction and Land Use, Joe Coots, Blue Water Conservation District, Brian Wilkie, Health Department, Joe Gandaya, USA Data Resources Conservation Services, Dale Stoliker, Road Commission, Doug Sweet, Drain Commission.
I'll make a motion to appoint all listed.
Then motion by Commissioner Ballard, support by Commissioner Wyatt. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next is the Veterans Millage Government Board. Appointment 2, which there is 2 listed here below. It's a 1-year term. Expires 12/31/21. We have Paul Wheeler, general public, and vacant veteran member at large letter. And that's found on your last page here. I'll read it very quickly. I'd like to thank you for appointing me to the Veteran Millage Governing Board over the past year. It has been a pleasure to help those that served in our country. At this time, I would like to ask that you reappoint me to the Veterans Millage and Governing Board to fill the term to expire December 31st, 2021. Thank you, Paul Wheeler.
Move to appoint Paul Wheeler.
Okay.
Support.
Okay, there's been a motion and support to appoint Paul Wheeler. Any further discussion?
Who's responsible for trying to fill that vacant position that's there?
I didn't know, I was going to talk to you about that, Tara. That's
Shannon Krieger is the director. So we can certainly advertise that, and I believe it has been advertised.
I was gonna say, I think I saw it
Yeah.
advertised. It's surprising that they didn't
Yes.
get action on that.
So it's possible we'll be appointing someone,
Okay.
you know, in one of our upcoming meetings.
okay. All right, thank you. All right, I'd like to congratulate Paul Wheeler. Next is 18A on our agenda, County Commission Chair Appointment Committees. And these are 1-year terms that expire on 12/31/21 in the past, and as it was this time, it was up to the chairperson to appoint these people on our committees. Do we have to vote on this? Did I go ahead and read them? And before I read off the names that I've appointed, I have contacted and personally got with each commissioner that's sitting here today, either personally or by phone. And each one of you have sent in the list of committees you'd like to serve on. And I think that what we have here is what I've done is I've actually tried to take the top 3 positions that each of you have asked to do. And I don't want to say this is a daunting task, but I want to be fair based on your past history, what you've served on, based on the top 3 things that you've wanted to do. And I think even a few of you have mentioned that the top 3, this is where I'd like to fit in. And I would like to say I've done my very best to try to put each one of you commissioners in the position you've asked for. There's other positions that I went through the list and tried to fill in where I thought best suited. And so I'd like to read those off. And I do want to say if there's any opposition, if there's something that you'd like to serve on that I didn't put on, I've tried to be as fair as possible and do the best I can to appoint you where I think you're best suited. And I don't even want to say best suited. That's probably the wrong word to say, where I think you're suited. And if you disagree with this, please let me know. And we obviously can go back and discuss it, make some changes. Okay. Airport Zoning Board, Commissioner Block. Appeals Board, Soil Erosion, Commissioner Ballard. Board of Public Works, there is appointment for 2. That's Commissioner Sakella and Commissioner Wyatt. BPW authorized representatives, that's going to be Trudy Bowers and Doug Sweet. And then the next one is Budget Committee. Obviously, we're all going to be on that Budget Committee, and along with Chrissy Bender, Tara Griffith, and Trudy Bowers. Buildings and Grounds and Maintenance Committee, Commissioner Block, Commissioner Sakella. Central Dispatch Advisory Board, Commissioner Heberling. Child Abuse Prevention, Commissioner Sakella. Community Collaborative, Commissioner Ballard. Community Health Board and Great Start Collaborative, Bill Sarkella, Commissioner Sarkella. Council of Aging, Commissioner Sarkella. Drug and Task Force, Roger Ballard. FOIA, obviously, is our HR, Jody Morris. GST, Genesee, Shiawassee, Thumb, in Lapeer, and I believe by being chairman, I was put on that way. So that's why I put myself on there. Health Board, Commissioner Block. Human Development Commission, Commissioner Sakella. Information Technology Planning Committee, Commissioner Heberling, Commissioner Block. Landfill Operation and Cycle Advisory Board, Commissioner Heberling, that's Bridgehampton Township, because it is Bridgehampton Township. LEPC Committee, Emergency Management Department, Commissioner Wyatt. Medical Control Board, Commissioner Block. Negotiating Team, Commissioner Block, Commissioner Sakella. Parks and Recreation Committee, Commissioner Block, Commissioner Ballard. Pension Board, Commissioner Sakella. Personnel Committee, Commissioner Wyatt, Commissioner Heberling. Planning Commission, Commissioner Block, Commissioner Heberling. I have served on that board the last 2 years, is why I put myself back on it. Policy Review Committee, Commissioner Ballard, Commissioner Wyatt. Safe Partnership Millage Board, BOC Chair, Commissioner Heberling. Sanilac Transportation, Commissioner Sarkella. Soil erosion and sediment control, Commissioner Ballard. Veterans Millage Governing Board, Commissioner Sarkella, Commissioner Heberlin. Again, I did my very best. I put a lot of time into this. I've talked to you, each one of you, and I tried my hardest, and I think I've accomplished that, taking the top 2 or 3 where you wanted to serve on these boards. And then there were several where all 4 of you wanted to be on the same board, and that can't happen. There's only one appointment. But as I said, and I want to be very fair about this, and if you've got feelings or you want to serve on a different board where I put you, don't want to be on that board, please let me know, and we'll work our best to try to change that. So if there's any issues, this is the time to say it. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Again, I tried to do my best to put, I thought, where we all best fit.
Chairman, may I speak?
Mhm.
I just wanted to point out, look at our bylaws, it addresses this. Not that there's a problem or I find one, but in section 4.127, it addresses the opportunity for an individual to voice an objection and for the board to have a majority approval of that objection. Just as a reference, I think it's fine what you came up with, it's well thought out.
I just want to give you the opportunity because I don't want anybody leaving today upset they didn't get on the board. And like I said, I think a couple of you put in where you wanted to be. And I know I've talked to Commissioner Ballard, and I say this jokingly, when he realized that he was going off his professional job and going on to a commissioner, he realized that both him and I served on the DGF, and I said, that's fine.
Arm wrestled.
Roger served on that board a lot longer than I have, and done a good job, so.
Thank you.
All right, so do we need a motion to approve this, I believe? No, it's just appointment. All right. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I refer back to your appointments? I just want to say, is there anybody that might be dissatisfied, or if they want to do any horse trading, or if there's, because I know we were throwing a lot of names out there for particular boards. So I'm certainly willing to say, you know,
Sure.
among us, we can discuss that as well, not just going back to the chairman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm absolutely agreeable to negotiating if there's something that somebody felt very strongly about.
And you won't hurt my feelings. You won't. I just, like I said, I tried my best. But as I've said many times to each of you, we all have a right to speak and speak our piece. And
I will say to Commissioner Sarkella, if you were interested in omitting one of the 7 or so committees you have, I'm a little light. I could do the Sanilac Transportation Board. If that interests you or not, I have been on it for the last year and developed a working relationship. I wouldn't mind continuing.
If you're willing to do that.
I am.
Oh, most certainly.
Yeah, okay, yep. All right. Chairman, that's okay?
yes, that's okay, so is there any other, what do you call it, horse trading? Horse trading.
I would like to say too, I've been through this process before with committee appointments, and I got to give our chairman a lot of credit for taking the time to put this together and to have this cleaned up and as well presented as it was. A lot of times these commissioner appointments can be quite contentious in the first meeting when everybody gets together. So thank you for that.
Yep. Okay, thank you. So I'm making one change here, Denise and Tara, for Sanilac Transportation. We'll cross out Commissioner Sakala and add Commissioner Wyatt to fill that position. Okay. Yeah, here. Okay, next is 18B. I think we've got everything covered. Brownfield Redevelopment Board, and Again, we have, it's a 3-year term, expires 12/31/23. And we have from District 3, John Grostra, is that how you say that? Do I pronounce that right? And District 4, Mike Patterson. And I'll entertain a motion to adopt these two for the Brownfield Redevelopment Board.
So moved.
Gary, you don't need motions. These are appointed by the respective commissioners.
Okay, right, okay. Thank you, Denise. And the same with the landfill operation recycle. We don't have to vote on that. It's just, okay, all right. Come to 19, general resolution, rescind resolution that we adopted in our meeting back at the end of December. And this is to rescind to authorize a declaration of the state of emergency for this county of Sanilac. And this actually runs out, I believe, Commissioner Wyatt helped me, February 23rd, and the state has already superseded. So the motion is to rescind the motion that we made back in December. And I know you've been pushing this a little to get this rescinded. So if you want to make the motion to do that, or if you want to explain it a little bit more to the rest of the commissioners before we make a motion on it. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. So, with the opportunity to speak about this, we did, how do I say this? I feel that we moved a little too soon on that. Had we considered the fact that we have the opportunity as a board to take advantage of having special meetings for things of importance. And that resolution was definitely something of importance. It was important on both sides of the argument. It was important for those who felt it was necessary for us to continue being able to meet electronically and thus complete our obligations as Board of Commissioners. But it was also important on the part of those that were concerned about the language that's involved with declaring a state of emergency. And I felt that it was disingenuous for us to do so for the mere fact that it was required, that we felt that it was required to do so just so that we could meet electronically and not meet in person. Made the case, and I'll go through it now because we've got new board members, but the MDHHS order of, I believe, November 18th referenced the public act that was approved and ratified in October, allowing meetings electronically for no reason whatsoever until December 31st, 2020. And because of that, January 1st, 2021, it would be incumbent to follow the Open Meetings Act, which requires board members to be meeting in public. That being said, I was more than happy for us to meet in public as we are doing right now. And we are meeting safe distances, we are meeting the mask requirements, and we're meeting the occupancy requirements. But we're also able to meet and deliberate in person, which is much more effective for things of importance. And in the last meeting, we didn't have that meeting in person. And I feel that that was one of the reasons why we felt an urging, and it was not useful, or rather it was difficult to analyze it to the degree that I felt necessary to not declare this emergency. And as we're all well aware, the very next day, the legislature did move on an extension of that Senate bill that allows meeting for no reasons whatsoever until sometime in next March. So that's the reason why we have this rescission here, because it's a moot point, and the quicker we get a declaration of a state of emergency off the books for the county of Sanilac, the better suited we are, because it's not just a declaration that was specifically addressing just the meeting and communication. It has far-reaching effects beyond just that. So I'm glad that we have the opportunity to put this on the agenda. I would encourage that we would remove that. We would think in the future and take advantage of the opportunities to call special meetings in order to be able to deliberate a little bit more on the issue, because if you recall, this was like pushed on us at the last minute. We really didn't have time to talk about it. And so in the future, again, I just hope that we take advantage, do the special meetings, follow the procedure for doing that. Because that was an option that was available. That's all I got to say about that. I move to put this in as a motion.
Support.
Okay, got a motion to rescind in the NFA 001-21, support by Commissioner Ballard. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Oh, is that a
Roll call.
roll call? I'm sorry, you told me that. I'm sorry, Denise. You told me that before the meeting, sorry. And in fact, I had it wrote on my agenda.
Commissioner Black,
Yes.
Commissioner Sarcella,
Yes.
Commissioner Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Wyatt,
Yes.
and Chairman Peterlin.
Yes, thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda number 20, committee reports. At this time, I'll open up the floor to any commissioner for committee reports.
We did have a broadband meeting last month. I think I did report on it in our last meeting. Nothing has come up since then. I know that we have a plan for moving on this month.
Thank you.
I guess I can, you want me to go?
You're up next.
Okay, Parks, we met December 17th. We're meeting again next Tuesday, which is kind of off our schedule, but we had a manager, our forester park manager resigned. Then the next day it was necessary to relieve the full-time maintenance supervisor of his duties. So we're kind of in a transition right now. I believe it's on the agenda for a personnel meeting that may be happening Thursday. So we're working on that. We got, John Steffen was a manager out there for 34 years. And his wife are still around. And of course, Helen was a big part of the running that. So we've brought her back. She's been a seasonal worker. She's been working in the office and getting us through. We started taking reservations yesterday. Actually, they got in somehow in the system on Sunday, which they weren't supposed to be able to, but it happened. So they had quite a day yesterday. They were all three parks. And then also Joe Bradley, who was a seasonal worker. His first year was this past year, and an excellent worker. Has really picked up on the park, the infrastructure, and doing a good job. So they're out there working 30 hours a week to keep things going and get things ready. Because it'll be May 1st before we know it. So we're working on that, trying to get some staff hired. So, and we had another record year, even though we hope.
Yeah, you mentioned that before. You've had a good year.
And it looks like it's going to continue. So it's good.
Are there any plans for additional sites in any of the parks, expansion, I guess?
At this time, no. We've done a lot of site improvements the last few years. Not at this time. We've got other projects in the works.
Turn this over to you.
And actually, that's to cater more to the day use. And we're not just campgrounds. We got to remember our public.
First.
So, yeah, we've got a lot of projects in the works.
Okay.
What do you mean by day use? What do you mean by?
People that don't camp
Yeah.
can go and enjoy our parks. And we have some,
Okay.
I never thought of it as a county park necessarily, so there are.
Well, that's what they are.
Yeah.
they always have.
They
them.
just happen to have camp.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Is the gazebo completed, Forester?
Oh, the gazebo no, but it's coming right along.
I seen a picture of it somewhere on social media or in the paper or somewhere.
Probably, it's been on Facebook. I actually have to go out there Thursday. They're working on a new shutter system for the windows. We're trying to keep it as original looking, which it is. I mean, it's a beautiful building. They're working on a system to make it easier to operate those shutters. They're working on the electrical. The flooring won't go in until spring. It's 1-inch tongue and groove white oak flooring. So that's being stored inside right now. Then it'll get painted in the spring and some groundwork done. It's coming good. If you're by there, stop in and look at it. Make sure you get out and go look at the inside. It's just unbelievable.
Great.
You haven't been in any committees yet? You haven't been in any committees yet. So, next meeting. All right, thank you for the committee reports. Nothing that I know of on unfinished business. Moving to new business. We have FA-001-21 approval of 2020 claims, Board of Commissioners.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for the 2020 identified on the accounts payable report dated December 29th, 2020 for the general bank account in the amount of $102,423.82.
Entertain support.
Support.
Support. Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next is FA-002-21, approval of 2021 current claims, Board of Commissioners.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for the 2021 identified on the accounts payable report dated December 29th, 2020 for the general bank account in the amount of $8,692.57.
Entertain support on that. Support by Commissioner Sakala. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. FA-003-21.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following amendments and establishes the following accounts. 2020 budget amendments revenue increase.
You don't have to go through that,
Okay.
Commissioner Block. We've got that. And I made the mistake of doing that the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they let you keep going, right?
Yeah, I should have forewarned you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Entertain support. It's support by Commissioner Wyatt. In the discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. FA-004-21, award and authorization of cold storage building recycling center.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby awards and authorizes the bid to Boone's Construction Incorporated at a cost not to exceed $219,000 for a cold storage outbuilding with funding from the Recycling Infrastructure Grant, non-pro tunc to 1215.
Support.
Support by Commissioner Ballard. Any further discussion?
One quick question,
Yeah.
Chairman. The non-pro tunc, is that effectively allowing this to be?
Move ahead right now.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason was because of materials going up, escalating every day because of the fires out in California and the COVID and things. When we were in that meeting, the recycling committee was in that meeting. That's one, I think I asked, is the price going to come down? No one knows that, but it could go back up. And the prices that Mr. Boone's give us at that time in our last meeting, he could assure us we got that price if we acted before the end of the year with this supplier. So that's why it was put in non-pro ton.
Okay.
And I know from time to time, we've discussed why is it non-pro ton, we need it, and that's why we usually put non-pro ton if it has to be done right away.
Okay.
So, yeah.
In this particular case, Chairman, if I may, this building has been on the docket for quite some time. It's been brought up. We've had the opportunity to actually deliberate it in public on at least 2 other occasions, if I remember correctly. So in this particular case, the now for then, term was reasonable since we had plenty of opportunity to discuss it right here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, and just to give a little history, we're in the discussion stage here, right? Was there a second on that, Mr.?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just kind of give a brief history and Tara, correct me or add where I need to be. We started out, we got a grant from Eagle for the building, which was much needed. And we come up with a standalone building, was the first time. And because of prices went up, because of different inputs from the board, we decided not to, I think we voted not to take the bids on that because of the cost. And so we've had several meetings since, and we come up with the second one was attach the building to the current building. We needed a new roof, but there was just a number of different things that come up. The price escalated quickly on that, and we really thought it was a great idea to attach the new building to the old building because it would save us money. There was a firewall. I ended up, it escalated way more than what we could afford and what the grant could stand. There was no contingency left over. So we went back and had second meeting, and I think that's the one I called in for, I forgot. But we were presented with a steel building, which was amendment, I guess, to that. The first bids and what we could do. So our final phase and our final building, we all agreed on, voted on the cost. It will be a steel building. It will be a set aside building, not attached to the current building. And it brought the price down substantially. And it's going to be better suited for fire, for their storage, for whatever. And it ended up after, and I know it took a long time to get where we're at, but a lot of thought went into it. We looked at costs, we looked at the structure, we looked at the longevity and the price, and it fit well within our grant that we received. And Mr. Boone's, I want to say, and then all the contractors were great to work with, but Mr. Boone's come up with this, and it really, we said, hey, yeah, that's what we've been looking for all the time. So, yeah. And if I may, I'll apologize for our board, because I know I've been in township meetings and they said, you're still talking about this. And maybe you got some of the same thing, but we're at a point where the right decision was made. We got it for a good price. And I just want to thank our committee that worked on this. It took a long time, but we got the best deal.
Tara certainly deserved the majority of the credit for that.
Yes.
She had to work diligently at an extension on the grant, if I remember, changes to the grant.
A couple times.
A lot of interaction on her part that took time out of her day, but she did a good job on it.
Now, at one time, didn't that project include paving the lot?
Did, yes.
That went away, right?
It went away with our first bids.
Well, that and probably the increase in materials and
Yep.
I know they do, I think they keep a pile of repurposed asphalt down there they do a pretty good job keeping the lot decent.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed the same. Motion passed. Next is authorization to purchase inventory for the recycle center. And that's, excuse me, that's FA 005-21.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the recycling center to purchase the following items: baler at a cost of $5,500, baler at a cost of $4,250, baler at a cost of $2,500, a 7x14 trailer at a cost of $3,000, a 7x14 trailer at a cost of $3,000, a 7x14 modified trailer at a cost of $2,000, a 7x16 trailer at a cost of $2,000, a 2010 GMC Sierra work truck at a cost of $7,000, and a baling wire at a cost of $250, for a total cost not to exceed $29,500 with funding from the landfill operations contingency.
Okay, there's been a motion by Commissioner Block for FA 00521, support by Commissioner Wyatt. Any discussion?
Worth noting that this reflects work on the part of Joanne By and again on Tara purchasing equipment that Huron County was getting rid of. And there was some collaboration involved on this because the two agencies had previously worked on many different projects. And Huron felt indebted to Sanilac in as much as they offered these at a considerably reduced price. So one might look at this and say, why wasn't this bid out? But it wasn't that they were looking to purchase these anyhow, and that it would require an FRP. Did I say that right? RFP? RFP. But rather it was to take advantage of a terrific, I guess.
Yeah, some of this was newer equipment,
Yeah.
much needed by our recycling.
If I could, I would recommend that we would put to purchase from Huron County, just so that there's a paper trail and for accounts payable.
Okay,
There's really nothing in the motion that indicates where it's being purchased from.
so after hereby, we should put the Sanilac, and I'm just trying to paraphrase here, the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby purchase and authorizes the cycling center to purchase the following items. Would that, something like that?
From Huron County.
Okay, all right. And I just want to add, to what Commissioner Wyatt said, Tara and Joanne have done a great job on this. And I will tell you this, Joanne does not spend a dime unless she has to, and she's always under her budget. She comes into the meeting and tries to save money wherever she can. And she's done a great job for not only the recycling, but for our county. So.
Yeah, I had a conversation with her about this equipment and the balers, for example, that they're currently using and have been reworked extensively, have over 30 years on them currently.
Sure.
So these balers that they're getting from Huron are considerably newer with far less hours on them. So at any time they lose a baler, they can continue the operation with a newer, better baler. It's a good deal for them to have that on the back end there, on the bench.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, well, while I'm here, I might as well tell you what the trailer is.
Thank you. I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah. So what she's considering is that the trailers will be utilized at various recycling points, like where the bins are placed, to take cardboard. Now, she's working out the details so as not to have, trailers full of trash. But her idea was by having those trailers on site, they'll take the cardboard, which allows more room in the bins for other types of material. And one of the things that was interesting of note, if anybody's recycled glass, it's a pain in the rear. There's so little types of glass that are allowed to be recyclable. I was told apparently it has to do with the crushing, the grinding machines that do it, that the certain types of glass is too hard on the equipment. So they only want the soft, easy glass, I guess, whatever that means.
But they don't take glass here.
Oh, they don't take glass there, yeah. But if you do go to a recycling place that takes glass, they don't take much.
They don't want your window glass or anything. They want
Right.
jelly jars.
I don't even think she takes window glass anymore.
They don't take any glass.
No glass.
No.
If that's all the discussion, I don't want to cut anyone short, but if there's no more discussion, all in favor say aye.
All right.
All opposed, the same. Next is FA 006-21, authorization to upgrade audio system, Sheriff's Office.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes an upgrade to the Centennial audio system at a cost not to exceed $17,964.34 with funding from the Inmate Commissary Fund. And this is also non-protunct 1215.
Okay, there's been a motion by Commissioner Block for FA 006-21, support by Commissioner Sakala. Any discussion?
Well, this was non-protunct as well, simply because the equipment they had was malfunctioning.
Yes.
And at any moment it could go bad, whereby they would not be able to have the intercommunications in the jail. So it was a semi-urgent matter.
Thank you, Commissioner Wyatt. And yeah, that was discussed in our last meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Next is FA 007-21, authorized to purchase equipment, county clerk. For our county clerk.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the purchase of a live scan fingerprinting system from ID Networks at a cost not to exceed $8,190, and the purchase of 2 scanners at a cost not to exceed $4,500, with the funding for all equipment, a transfer from the election budget to data processing, non-pro-tunc 1215.
Support.
A motion by Commissioner Block for FA 00721, authorized to purchase equipment for county clerk, and a support by Commissioner Ballard. That I'll open up for any discussion before we vote.
Well, I've got some discussion on that. If anybody heard the last meeting, I spoke quite a bit about it. It wasn't to be contentious with the clerk. The clerk does a terrific job. The clerk is looking to improve the services rendered to the public. But currently, we're in a budget crisis and anticipate going into a further budget crisis. And this is the cost of this equipment provides for the county of Sanilac an additional fingerprint scanner, to which we already own 2 of them. And they're located at the Sheriff's Department. And the manner in which the operation occurs, whereby individuals have to get fingerprinted, requires them to go across the street and schedule it to be done. During the COVID period of time, it was difficult to do so because the lobby was closed. We have a new sheriff with a new set of procedures and policies. I would imagine it's quite possible that the lobby is open now, and that can facilitate those fingerprint scans in a way that was similar to the way it's been done for years and years and years. I would say that there's no need for us to purchase the fingerprint equipment and to train people to operate it and expect them to add another layer of work onto their already busy schedule. The beginning of last year had a request to fill a vacancy in the clerk's office, and it was impressed upon us that the clerk's office in general is very, very busy. And this would be an additional set of requirements and workload to that department. And I feel that moving forward, the training and the skill set involved in performing this function will eventually translate into a time where they'll want to be compensated for it, and quite rightly so, because they are doing additional jobs. They're doing additional, they're accumulating additional skills in the service of Sanilac County, and they should be paid for it. And so I feel that it's not in our best interest moving forward in a period where the budget is tenuous, the forecast looks bleak according to the state, and our county administrator agrees to that extent that, yeah, we're a little worried how we're going to have a healthy contingency fund. This doesn't prevent anyone from getting the service performed. Again, it would be simply a matter of the sheriff's office providing those services in the manner that they always have. But I think the cost, the cost of the equipment, the upfront cost of the infrastructure, the maintenance thereof, and also the fact that down the road, it is going to be highly unlikely that it won't be utilized as a way for the employees to negotiate either a job classification change, not just because of that one added skill set, but because it's an additional skill set in a classification change that one might request. Again, if that's the way it goes, they should get it. I don't feel it's in the best interest of the Sanilac County taxpayers and for the money that they pay to duplicate a service that's already been performed without any real complaints. That's what I have to say about that.
Okay. Well, this, Commissioner Wyatt, this is not a counter objection to what you said. I think that our county clerk give us a good explanation why it should be in her office. And I just want to follow up with any new commissioners that didn't hear her part of the story and our former sheriff's request for it. One of the things that I know that there's a waiting list to go to the sheriff department to get fingerprinting, and I don't know if that's exactly all due to the fact of COVID and it shut down, I don't know, but I do know there's a waiting list. It's been that way for some time. And I appreciate your thoughts and your concerns with this, Commissioner Wyatt. But the other thing that I wanted to bring up, talking to a couple of the school personnel in our area, they're extremely happy because this is a quick, fast service. It's a service to our constituents in our county. And the one thing they said, when we have substitute teachers or people that come in, we have to put them in a spot right away in our school because of a need. They don't have to wait on a waiting list. They can come up here and get their fingerprints done right away. So I look at it as a service. Yes, I understand your concerns, and I think point well taken, but I think it also gives us a better way to serve our community in a quicker way. So I just, and that's not a counter objection to what you're saying. I want everyone to hear both sides of the story and how this came about. And our county clerk did explain that the funding for this did come from the election budget, the data processing. And in the last meeting, we moved this to the full board as a non-pro ton. So at this time, County Clerk, we're open for discussion here. If you've got anything you'd like to add to that. And any of you, if anyone wants to add to the discussion.
Well, the comments from my staff yesterday was, when are we gonna get this? We are so sick and tired of taking all of these complaints up the counter. They're very impatient with this. They have, and there's a timing mechanism too, from the time that you apply to when I have to act on a CPL. As you say, I also want to open it up for public fingerprinting. Anybody that has to have fingerprinting for any state certification or state testing, a lot of those items require public fingerprinting. So we are going to open that as well. One thing that this motion doesn't say, even with purchasing that, I've also last year turned back $50,000, over $50,000 in addition to after paying for this in my elections budget. So I'm not out just looking at places to spend money. I worked very hard to save money for the county through all the elections that I did this last year. And with doing that, I had over $60,000 left over in my elections budget. So that is where then I talked with the sheriff, and this was an area that we felt we could highly improve our customer service, because right now my employees are tired of all the complaints. Because you gotta remember, most of these people take a day off to come in to apply. You have to apply in person. It's nothing that you can do. You have to sign your application in front of us and we administer an oath to you. So a lot of people that are commuting to the city to work have to take a day off to come in and do that. And then we tell them, well, you can't get fingerprinted today. So that just sets off the litany of complaints. You mean I gotta take another day off to come and get fingerprinted? So that was the background, what kind of spearheaded all of this. And it's like, if we could just do a one-stop shop, we're there, we have public office hours, we're there 5 days a week, people can come in. And the additional revenue of opening it up to fingerprinting. Honestly, I've not even looked into how much that's going to net us per individual. Because right now, my main focus is such a backlog on CPLs. We need to get them caught up. It's amazing how many people apply for CPLs that have felony convictions. You just would never have thought that would happen, but I deal with this daily. And you don't want them carrying their permit on their receipt because I've gone past the time that I need to act on it. So that's what spearheaded the whole taking this.
Do you feel that this will drive efficiency in your office?
Oh, definitely, because we're going to be able to fingerprint them, and we will probably, the state police is a little bit slow too, but not like they were when they were fully working. But no, I would say within a week's time, we'll have a turnaround on applicants.
Okay.
I have to say this, and anytime we can give better service, I'm all for that as a county. But I do have the same concern, and I don't know how we would head it off down the road, but I have the same concern as Commissioner Wyatt. Down the road, 2 years, 3 years, whoever the county clerk is at that time will come back and say, we added this to our staffing, and now we need another half person or full person. And I just want to say this, our job is budget and policy, budget and policy as commissioners. And I just, if however we vote yes on it, I hope that don't come back to bite us down the road that we, so I'm not threatening. I don't mean that. I just,
No, I know.
we have to think those things through.
My office has implemented, I love technology. And so, we've implemented a lot of services. We're doing veterans cards. We utilize the same equipment that I do passport photos, and between the passport photos and the CPL cards. So we've come up, I had a company write an application to incorporate in our system for veterans ID cards. I mean, every time we've added things to our office, you've not saw reclassification requests. I mean, the amount of time it's going to take, it's a hand scanner.
Mhm.
And with buying the additional printer, we're going to scan the driver's license. So even by scanning the driver's license, it populates all the fields. So my employees they don't even have to fill in all the fields. They just have to proof it off the license. We're not looking at a lot of time per customer to do this. So, I mean, those things we try to implement services that, and like the veterans ID cards, that's, the guys just love those when they come in, and passport photos. Granted, this year we haven't done very many, but on an average year, it's amazing how many passport photos. So, I mean, we've been an advocate of services in the clerk's office, and this is just another, I feel, an enhancement to our.
I've been in there for all the above a couple times.
Well, we've talked a lot about efficiency and improvements and a benefit to, the Sanilac County residents. But what we're doing here is we're throwing money at a problem.
It's a good deal.
We're identifying that this is a problem in the city. It's not so much a problem, but it's a matter of efficiency. And I don't feel in this particular case throwing money, i.e. Buying equipment, training people to do something that's already being done. I don't think that's a matter of efficiency. I think that's just simply giving up on it, making the method more efficient. I think that a collaborative effort between the sheriff's office and the clerk's office could be had whereby it shouldn't be a problem for someone to show up at your office at 10 o'clock, fill out the paperwork, shoot across to the sheriff's office and get a fingerprint. What's stopping that from happening besides COVID? COVID has thrown a monkey wrench into the situation in that the sheriff's office has had their lobby closed, but that's a decision on the sheriff that no longer is in control of that. Now, I don't know what Sheriff Rich says, and what his policy is. And what I see is a disconnect and a breakdown between those two agencies that have to work together to affect an outcome. And while I would admit that, in the 2 years that I've experienced with Denise's office, she's done a fantastic job on many of the things that she's done. She's saved money. She's brought money into the county. She does a terrific job. In this particular area, I would advocate that some more work could be done on the collaborative effort between the sheriff's office and the clerk's office to have a positive, efficient outcome rather than us chucking money at it in terms of buying equipment, training staff. And I won't put too great an emphasis on long-range cost, but that is a component.
Well, prior to COVID, the fingerprinting process with the sheriff's department has been nothing but cumbersome. So as a high school coach, I have to get fingerprinted. As a securities representative, I have to get fingerprinted. Just went through my CPL a year ago, had to go through that process. That was really bad because that was prior to COVID. And it's just always been an issue in my mind as far as getting in there to get fingerprinted. If there's a way for our community to come in, particularly with the schools now. Once they start reopening and they have volunteers come in, that's one of the requirements. Anybody working in school districts got to go get fingerprinted.
Yeah.
And if we have a way to allow our folks to come in and out in an efficient manner, I understand what you're saying about the cost, but if it opens up the clerk's office in such a way that we can provide better services, I'm all for that, especially if the funding's coming from the election side of things.
Well, I mean, you guys are talking about taking, and the way it's being described is there's an overwhelming amount of fingerprinting activity being done. So we're transferring what was formerly done at the sheriff's office with a certain specific amount of staff and hours in which to complete the task. We're transferring that over now to the clerk's office. You can't tell me that they've all of a sudden come up with extra hours in the day in which to accomplish that additional step. Yes, I agree. It's going to be a little bit quicker than the cumulative effect of sending them over and coming back. However, it's still a considerable add-on to your daily operation. And that, to me, seems, as Commissioner Sarkella said, can be pointed to some type of breakdown in the cooperative effort between your two offices to facilitate a more streamlined method of accomplishing it. And I'm not sure what efforts have gone through. If my experience here for 2 years has been that some things have been done for as long as people can remember, and that's just the way it's been done. It's possible that a fresh new look at that process could be thrown at it, and we might come up with something that doesn't require additional infrastructure purchase.
The way I understand, when you go to the sheriff's department and you can, you know, if they're on, they can speak for that, but it's the correction staff is the ones that fingerprint. It's not the girls at the counter when you walk in. So depending when you go, if there is, and you know they're always short staffed, if there is a correction officer, when they are available, they will come out to the lobby and conduct the fingerprints.
There's a lot of waiting
So
involved.
it's not a matter of walking in, you're gonna get taken care of right then.
Yeah, and you and I,
If I,
spoke,
go
if
ahead.
I could,
Yeah, go ahead.
you and I spoke briefly a couple weeks ago on this, and what I gathered was that the time your girls spend explaining where and how to go get fingerprinted, they could probably
Yeah.
have more than ample time to just do it
Exactly.
and keep the process moving.
And the maintenance fee, I can pay for that out of, I'm sure, just the public fingerprinting aside. Not only
Thank
we
you.
charge for each, but that's already built in the general fund. And when I spoke with the sheriff's department, by no ways was my intention was to capture the revenue. It all goes in general fund anyway, so that's a moot point. It was the whole purpose of the service. So, and like I said, I'm not sure. I know my kids are both in healthcare and had to write state boards. They paid $75 to go get their fingerprint before so I haven't even looked into that yet. I don't even know how much that charge is going to be.
Well, if I can say this in closing, and if there's more discussion, obviously we'll do it, but I've been in there for both my CPL and for my, what am I trying to say? Passport. And most of the paperwork, if not all, is done in your office. And I have walked over to the sheriff department, or when I got scheduled, it takes but a few seconds to get a fingerprint. I think the concern of at least a couple of us in here, and I think the service is going to be great. I do. And it's going to be expedient. You're doing everything. It's a one-stop shop. I think the concern is, Denise, and you've heard it, and I don't want to keep harping on it. I think we don't want to hear as commissioners a year or two from now, somebody needs a pay raise to do that extra thing. I think that's where we're at. But I think overall, the service it's going to give, and if there's no added cost to it, it's going to expedite the service of people walking in. That's where I'm at with it. So,
Mr. Haverling, I agree wholeheartedly with what you say, and it's difficult to be a budget hawk without offending and ruffling other people's feathers, and that's not my intent. I do not wish to cast aspersions on your department. I wholeheartedly agree with all of the assessments that it's going to work out in the end positively beneficial to the employees in both offices and certainly to the citizens. It just does come at a cost. And it's a cost that comes out of the county's contingency funds. And it ultimately is borne by the taxpayers, and the argument has to be made as to, bring that to light.
I appreciate what you've done, and I think it's been well accepted, and you know, you've got some legitimate concerns, but well, thank you. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell everyone how to vote. I'm just giving you my opinion. So if there's no further discussions for FA 007-21, the purchase equipment, basically fingerprint equipment for the clerk's office, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same.
Opposed.
Okay, motion passed 4-1. Thank you, and thank you for everyone's input. A very good discussion. Well worth the effort. Moving on to FA 008-21, adoption of 2021 data process costs for the equalization department.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the 2021 data processing printing cost as presented.
There's a motion made by Commissioner Block for FA 008-21, support by
Support.
by Commissioner Ballard.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. FA 009-21, approval of agriculture appraisal services equalization.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the agreement between the County of Sanilac and MAC Assessing Services LLC to provide agricultural appraisal services at a cost not to exceed $79,274 for the 2022 and 2023 study, with funding from the equalization budget, and further authorizes the board chairman to sign the necessary agreement.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Block for FA 00921, support by.
Support.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, the same, motion passed. FA 0-10-21, approval agreement to provide appraisal services.
We're done.
The Sanilac County Commissioners hereby approves the agreement between Sanilac County and White Oak Appraisal for the purpose of providing commercial and industrial services at a cost not to exceed $24,375, with funding from the equalization budget, and further authorizes the board chairman to sign the necessary agreement.
Support. Motion by Commissioner Block, support by Commissioner Wyatt. FA 009-21, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. FA 01021, approval agreement to provide appraisal service equalization.
I think we're off.
Oh, sorry,
There,
I
aren't we?
jumped back on, sorry. FA 00011-21, approval 2020 agreement for the database manual printing service. Again, for equalization.
The Sanilac County Board
Oh,
of
I'm sorry.
Commissioners hereby approves the 2021 agreements for database management printing services for the townships, cities, and villages as presented, and further authorizes the board chairman to sign necessary documents.
Support.
Okay, and motion by Commissioner Block, support by Commissioner Ballard. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next is public comments. Seeing none. Today we don't have a closed session. And I'll move to an approval of closed session minutes. We don't have any. And number 21, I think is what we've been waiting for. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Ballard, support by Commissioner Wyatt to adjourn today's meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Over.